What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Wednesday, May 4th playoff edition of the NHL Picks VOD. I am your host, Josh Harris. You can find me on Twitter at JRH002DFS. And remember, this awesome show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Get 1 month free of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks using promo code Awesemo. That's AWE. SMEO. You'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after to redeem your free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Also, when you use that promo code, they will Prize Picks will match you up to $100. So that's sweet. And if you're into Prize Picks, you should check out Odd Shopper. Because Prize Picks is a prop-based contest, and Odd Shopper will help you with that. If you're into betting NHL, check out our NHL betting videos on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. So that's a lot of fun as well. So let's recap last night a little bit, shall we, before we get into tonight. My Rangers took a triple OT loss. Penguins had 83 shots on goal, 83. And they had expected goals for of almost 9, which means Igor had almost 5 goals saved above expected, which is just ridiculous. People still think that he had a bad game, which is ridiculous. He played unbelievable. And then, of course, there's that goal in the third period that got overturned. There's no point in arguing about it. All the Rangers fans thought it was a goal. All the Penguins fans thought it was goaltender interference. The refs, who are in the Penguins' pockets, decided that it was not a goal. But, I thought it should have counted. As unbiased as my opinion could be, I thought it should have counted. But it was a great game. It was probably the best game of the playoffs to that point. The games the day before were pretty bad. So it was at least a fun game. It's just one game. We'll get back at it. The Panthers lost. And then I was talking to Cliffy this morning about it, and it was just like, yeah, they sat their guy. The Panthers sat their guys for a week. We should have saw that coming. It's easier to say that now that they lost, but yeah, makes some sense that they might have had a little rust. And then the Avalanche just absolutely dismantled the Predators. It sucks that UC Saros is out. I think Connor Ingram gives them the best chance to win the series. We know who Dave Riddick is. We don't know exactly who Connor Ingram is, so might as well just give him the shot. And then the late game, the Flames won 1-0 against the Stars. It was a snooze fest. Very low shots. Not much there. The Flames won. They're the better team. So, yeah. Let's get into the video tonight. We have the same games as we did on Monday. Interesting slate because there's, the Bruins on Monday let a lot of people down. Tampa got shut out. Minnesota got shut out. And then, the Kings won. And the first thing you notice, if you are a premium member at Awesemo, that the projected ownership on the Wild is about the same as it was the other night. So you're not going to get much discount there going back to the Wild. But I will say some other places, the ownership has come down on teams that burned you. The Bruins are a little bit lower. The Lightning are a little bit lower. This is still projected, obviously. And the Blues are lower, which is surprising considering that they won pretty easily. And then, McDavid, those guys coming in about the same. But let's start with the Bruins-Carolina game. Bruins have a 2.6 total. Carolina has a 3 total. This series is still in Carolina. Linus Ullmark is confirmed. And Antti Ranta is probable. That game on Monday, I don't think the Bruins played that bad. They played a pretty good game. That the score of 5-1 was a bit misleading. It got out of hand late, but Antti Ranta had a great game. There's not much you can do when a goalie gets hot like that. Looking at the Boston 1 ownership, they're coming in a little bit under 10% right now. Pasternak, 9%. Taylor Hall, 7.1%. I think going back to Boston 1 here makes some sense. They did see a good bit of the Fostal Niederreiter line, but, this is the line that I prefer. One of the things that a lot of people talked about coming to the series, the Bruins' depth would need to play well. And, they did look good. I don't know how much you need to go down to like a Charlie Coyle, Craig Smith. They're only 5,500 for the two of them. But if you are, power play stacking the Oilers and needed, you need a couple cheapies here. I don't mind Coyle Smith as a 2-man in MME. I don't know if I'd get there in one lineup, but for me, it's Boston 1. You want to go to Boston 2, leave off Hollow, leave in Hollow. You want to leave off, like I said, Carolina has a very, very good penalty kill, so I don't think power play stacking is very advantageous here. So I think it's either full stack or take pieces from the lines. On the Carolina side, the one thing, like Carolina 2 is super cheap. And I think, they had a pretty good game the other night. Trocheck, Teravainen on the top power play for 8,500 combined, coming in at 3%. I think, if you want some power play guys that are cheap, a little bit more expensive than Coyle and Smith, obviously, but you get the top power play there. They're cheap. They get a decent they avoid Bergeron for the most point at 5-on-5. So I think going to Carolina 2 here makes some sense. You want to go up to Carolina 1 again. I think that's perfectly fine. They're not priced up too much. Aho has been in the 8Ks at points. He's 6,200. Jarvis is 3,400. Svechnikov 5,600 on DraftKings. I think you can go to Carolina 1 here for sure. But for me, Carolina 2 is preferred. Boston 1 still in play for me. I'm going to go back to them in MME. On the blue line, Tony DeAngelo and Jacob Slavin's price came down. They're a little bit more manageable. I think, either are fine. If you're doing anything with the power play, I think Tony D is the guy. Otherwise, Jacob Slavin for the peripherals are fine. Brett Pesce under 4K now is a decent mid-range punt if you need it. On the Boston side, I think, Charlie McAvoy at his price, I think at 4,600 on DraftKings, you go back there. I think you can punt with Grzelcyk. You can punt with Hampus. You can punt with Carlo. It's just a matter of preference for you. So let's move on to the next game. Same exact totals from the other night. Tampa Bay Lightning with the 3.1 total. Going into Toronto again to face the Leafs, they have a 3.3 total. Jack Campbell confirmed. I would be surprised if it wasn't Andrei Vasilevsky. He'll be in that. It was a 5-0 drubbing, you can call it, for the Leafs. The Lightning just did not look interested. I will say that, there were some penalty kill concerns on the Lightning side coming in and, came to fruition a little bit. I don't think the Leafs are just going to run through the Lightning here. I think, this series is going to get pretty tight. So don't expect another 5-0 Leafs win. But, I think going back to the Tampa top line here, or power play stacking, is viable. Their ownership has come down. They're coming in at 6%. Stamkos, Kucherov, 6%. They're expensive. You're still both over 8K, which is really expensive. But Point has come down a little bit. He's 5,400. He's coming in around 5%. I think, that 3-man makes for a nice power play stack at low ownership. I don't know if I'm going to prioritize the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, but if I was making 20 lineups, that trio would certainly be in my mix. So, yeah. And then on the Leaf side, Michael Bunting is back, and he is very, very cheap. 3,300 is going to slide in onto that top line, pushing Kerfoot down the lineup, which, makes me like Toronto 1 even more. Bunting fits in very well at that line, much better than Kerfoot. I think, you full stack that top line. The 3,300 helps you save some salary, considering Matthews is 9,400, Marner's 7,800. I think, that top line, definitely the spot I would want to go to here. And again, I'm going to go back to Willie Nylander. His price is down under 5K now. Game 1, apparently he had food poisoning from bad sushi. He's fully healthy now. He looked really good in game 1, so I think going back to him here in a power play stack, leaving off Bunting, adding in Nylander is another elite way to get different. You want to go to the second line, it's fine. I think adding in Tavares into a power play stack is fine, but, if Kerfoot slides into that second line instead of Kasha, I just don't like that full line. If you want a 2-man Tavares, Mikheyev, I think that's fine. On the blue line, I'm looking to go right back to Morgan Rielly. On the other side, Victor Hedman under 7K now, I think is fine. I just, I wouldn't one off him. I would just include him. If I was MMEing and using Fantasy Cruncher, I'd include a rule to just include Victor Hedman in Tampa stacks. If you need a punt, I think going back to Jake Muzzin is fine. Don't expect a goal every game from him, but at 2,900, I think he still provides value. Mark Giordano's coming into a price range where I think I can play him as well. And then, you have the Chernax McDonough. It's just a matter of personal preference. Let's go to the Blues. 2.9 total, heading back into Minnesota. 3.2 total. Marc-Andre Fleury is confirmed. I would be utterly shocked if it wasn't Ville Husso, 7,600 on DraftKings. So I know it was a shutout for the Blues, but I watched the game and I thought the Minnesota Wild played a very good game. Their only downfall was Jordan Greenway cross-checking everyone into oblivion, taking a ton of penalties, and then the Minnesota Wild's penalty kill looking terrible. At 5-on-5, I thought the Wild generated a bunch of good chances. So basically the analysis that I had on Monday still holds true. I think, going to Minnesota 1 is still one of my favorite plays. Their prices come down. They're under 18,000 on DraftKings. They're still the chalkiest line on the night, according to the Top Stacks tool, coming in at 24% ownership share. They still have a little bit of a positive leverage there with a 24.7 top stack percentage. I think going back to them is fine. You want to get a little different, leave off Hartman, add in Joel Eriksson-Ek for some more power play, I think is fine. I think adding in Kevin Fiala to your Minnesota 1 stacks is also fine. Top power play, 5,800. Personally, I think if I'm going to go back to the Wild, I think I'm just going to go full Minnesota 1 here and call it a day. On the Blues side, it was really that O'Reilly, Perron, Saad power play unit that did some incredible amount of damage in that game. The Eriksson-Ek line at 5-on-5 shut down Thomas, Tarasenko, Buchnevich. You want to go to them for the power play, I guess it's fine. I'm not going to prioritize them. If I was, doing 20, maybe I'd have one of 20. I think going back to O'Reilly, Perron, Saad is fine, especially now that their ownership has come down, which is a bit surprising. Maybe that comes up a bit through the day, but they're only 11.5 to full stack. They avoid the Joe Eriksson-Ek line. They get the best matchup on the Wild, which is the Gaudreau, Fiala, Boldy line. That line's high event, not the best defensively. And, they seem to be clicking on the power play. So for cheap filler line, they're probably still my favorite. Again, analysis still holds. I'm not a huge fan of the Blues in this series. I think they played an unbelievable. They were very opportunistic on Monday. I would be shocked if the Wild didn't bounce back here. To the blue lines, Jared Spurgeon under 4K on the top power play. Obviously is a good price. Jonas Brodin, 3,200 if you want some peripherals. Matt Dumba, 3,300. Again, these are just, if you have a personal preference, these guys are all fine. Jacob Middleton, 2,600 is fine. On the blue side, again, not a huge fan of anybody here. If I had to pick somebody, it'd probably be Colton Parayko at 3,400. You want to use one of the power play quarterbacks to correlate. That is also fine. So let's head to the last game of the night. Again, the Kings, my Kings, not really my Kings. I'm a Rangers fan, but one of my biggest preseason bets was Kings to make the playoffs at plus 290. I think, they might not get far in these playoffs, but I think in the next few years, they're going to be very, very tough to deal with. They have a 2.7 total going into Edmonton. The Edmonton Oilers have a 3.7 total. Mike Smith confirmed again, so 2.7 total seems a bit low. I can't believe they're starting Mike Smith again. It is what it is. On Twitter today, I said Stu Skinner probably gives them the best chance to win, but he's not even with the team. Mikko Koskinen is the backup right now, but it is what it is. Mike Smith starting, so again, I have interest in the Kings. And I was talking in the Discord chat the other day. It doesn't matter who's on the wing on LA2. As long as Deneau is at center, that line's going to produce. And you saw that with Alex Iafallo. He had a 2-point game. Deneau looked great. Trevor Moore looked good. That Deneau goal was a little bit wonky, but LA2 had a very good game, and their ownership's still in check. Now, you do have to wait and see if Victor Arvidsson is going to play tonight, and he's obviously way more expensive than Alex Iafallo. So just be aware of that if you're building LA2 lineups, because if Arvidsson is in, that will bump Iafallo down to the third line. I also think power play stacking is fine. I mean, if Iafallo is on the second line, to know Iafallo have power play correlation, you could just add in, a Sean Durzi and have a 3-man power play stack there. You want to, add in a Kopitar, I think that's fine as well. But for me, it's LA2, and it doesn't matter if it's Iafallo, it doesn't matter if it's Arvidsson. I'm in on them. And then on the Edmonton side, it's power play stacking. Like I talked about, the Kings have one of the worst penalty kills in the league in the regular season. They're bottom 5, depending on which metric you looked at. So for me, I'm power play stacking. I'm looking to get in the big boys. I'm getting in Draisaitl, getting in McDavid. I'm adding in Hyman. I'm adding in, I think, the elite add-in, like Willie Nylander on the Leafs. The elite add-in here is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's 4,000 projected, under 10% right now. So yeah, I'm just mixing and matching the power play stacks here. Jesse Puljujarvi only played like 7 minutes, and I was looking through Twitter. I think he just had a bad game and wasn't hurt. So I don't know. I'm probably just going to stick to power play stacking McDavid, Draisaitl, add in Mixon, Hyman, Mixon, Nugent-Hopkins, and call it a day there. Tyson Barrie still on the top power play because we can't have anything nice. But Darnell Nurse price has come down. He's the guy that I'd want to play regardless. So I'm in on Nurse. If you need a punt, I think, Cody Ceci or Duncan Keith is fine. On the King side, Sean Dursey for me, 4,100 on DraftKings. I also think punting with Alex Edler or Matt Roy are fine. So let's talk about goalies real quick. I think, you're always looking for that cash goalie, that's quote unquote safe goalie, and there just isn't one here. I think I'm going to go back to Marc-Andre Fleury as my favorite goalie tonight. I think he bounces back. You want to use Ville Husso in GPPs. I think that's perfectly fine at 7,600. I guess like the quote unquote cash pick would be Mike Smith, just because the team's favored and the Kings have a low total, but I don't feel comfortable with that at all. I think other goalies you can take a stab on in GPPs would be Olmark and Ronta. I like both of them. And Vasilevsky was projected for massive ownership on Monday. He burned a lot of people. He's 7,700 now. He's only projected for 6%. I think coming back to him in GPPs is a real interesting play, and the people were asking for it. So I'm gonna, the one critique to the video that people wanted me to add was add a spicy hat trick pick. It doesn't have to be spicy. I'm just going to add the hat trick pick. And my hat trick pick tonight is going to be Kevin Fiala. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Cliffy will be back with you tomorrow. He gets the Rangers games, which is good because I have quite the biased opinion at this point. So Cliffy will be back with the videos tomorrow. I'll be in Discord tilting my face off with Jake like normal. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Good luck, everybody.